Hello folks, this is Mr. Bacon Bits, and welcome back to First Bitz, a spoiler-free review series while only showing the first hour or two of the game. Today, we're looking at an ambitious project that aims to recreate that classic action-adventure formula that Ocarina of Time had popularized, with a few twists. Explore the planet of Web, solve puzzles, help out its people, and discover its rich history with real web legends, Carter's Quest. If I were to describe Carter's Quest in a quick manner, I'd say it's like if Ocarina of Time and Devil May Cry had a loving and caring relationship, decided to have a child, and that child grew up with Bayonetta as a friend. All that influence culminates into a fun action-adventure game that proudly serves Yeah, I think that's about right. The title of the game may be off-putting at first, but I can only assume it's supposed to be wearing its Zelda influence on its sleeve. Just as there's the legend of Zelda marking almost every Zelda game, Real Web Legends probably acts as something similar, that the developer may want to make this into a series, possibly starring different protagonists. Or not. But who knows, if this game, which is mostly made by the one person, is anything to go by, I'd be excited to see what else they come up with, especially if there's a full team and a heftier budget involved in the future. The story starts with Carter somehow landing like a meteor onto the planet Web. Why? And for what purpose? You'll find out when playing, and so will Carter because the impact of hitting the ground with his head caused him to forget why. In the meantime, you'll be guided by a giant talking head that calls itself a homunculus, and quickly find yourself in a big tutorial dungeon. As I mentioned before, the main gameplay structure is like Zelda, with some puzzle solving, open-world exploration, and dungeon crawling. The combat system also has a heavy influence of Devil May Cry, focusing on alternate weapons, comboing, and juggling enemies. In terms of current game content and story, it's roughly a few hours, but as it's early access, it'll have a lot more content later on. Each act is planned to be roughly the same length as the first, so it'll end up being around a 20-hour game when everything is finished. From the stuff I've found in Act 1 currently, said content is pretty promising. The rewards for exploring are very worth it, I'd say. There's even an arena fighting minigame in one of the out-of-the-way areas. Combat is also fair and challenging at times, though at the moment it's incredibly easy to buy all your skills pretty early. I imagine that'll be tweaked as the game gets longer though. As for the puzzle quality, I'd say it's rather easy too, with many mostly revolving around lighting torches with fire arrows, pushing blocks, or stepping on switches to complete a track for ball rolling. But perhaps that's taking into account that this is supposed to be the early game, as early game Zeldas are typically easy to figure out. Fingers crossed we end up getting some brain teasers mid to late game in the full release. According to the game's Discord, the dev is very hands-on and active when it comes to patches and content updates for the game, so if that helps ease your mind with getting into an early access game, then great! Early support does help give the dev the funds to help with their plans going forward, after all. Having said all that though, compared to The Legend of Zelda, the content involved in said game isn't exactly for everyone, but if you can handle just a little bit of riskiness and are looking for a Zelda-like, this is highly recommended, whether you take the plunge now or wait until it has more content down the road. The game is available now for $14.99 if you wish to check it out, about the price of a typical meal at your local fast food establishment.